All right, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. We're gonna do a couple different things here. First, I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm about. No, so that's what I'm gonna do second. First, I'm gonna ask you guys how you found out about this event, because that helps us a lot. And then, but most importantly, after I tell you why I'm running and who I am, I want to get questions from you guys, okay? Because the point here is find out more about me, so if you can, please ask me anything you got. I'm an open book, okay? So how did folks find out about this event?
Mine was Facebook.
Facebook?
Text message.
Text message?
Text message.
Text message?
My neighbors here told me yesterday.
Okay. All right, wonderful, I love it. And on Facebook, where did you see it on Facebook?
It could have been the text message, but
Yeah.
it was on the media.
All right, that's wonderful. How many of you had already knew about me?
No, about you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How many of you watch the Young Turks?
Not regularly, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes.
Okay, got you.
have seen it.
All right.
Turks.
Okay, that's the name of my program that I'm on. Yeah.
That's how.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Okay, that's super helpful. Really appreciate it, guys. So, but I'll go through, especially the folks that don't know me. Let me just give you a quick summary, okay? So I'm Cenk Uygur. I'm running for Congress here in the 25th district. It's an open seat, as probably a lot of you know. It's Katie Hill stepped down. So we're actually on the ballot twice, because it's this unusual situation where you have the primary for the special election to fill the open seat, and the primary for the November election at the same time. Come on in, you can see. So this is a unique opportunity that I know you all have been looking forward to vote for me twice. Okay, on the same day, same time. Great to have you guys. Okay, we were just talking before we got started about progressives versus conservative Democrats, etc. I'm in the progressive group, okay? You can ask me any questions you want about what that means, right? And so one of the things, the most important thing is, I don't take any corporate money, any lobbyist money, any PAC money. I don't take any of that, okay? Because I'm worried that it has a corrupting influence on the politicians. And I'm not just worried about it, I'm pretty sure about it, okay? And I think a lot of people are pretty sure about it. So all the Republicans in the race take it, and unfortunately the other major Democrat also takes it. So for example, she took about $13,000 or so in real estate money, and then she voted against rent caps. Now maybe she's actually against rent caps, but now how do we know, right? Because, so it could be because her donors wanted it, or it could be because she's genuinely against it. But either way, we got massive affordable housing issues in this district, okay? So we have it all over LA, but particularly here. And we also have massive homelessness issue here. And all that is driven because of the price of housing. So homelessness is not just the price of housing, but it is majority. A lot of people have a misconception about homelessness. They think it's everyone who's homeless has either got an addiction issue or a mental health issue. That is the majority of folks in other places, but not in LA. In LA, that's only 42%. 58%, the majority, are because they can't afford housing. So it's just, people don't understand what the real issues are. And so another thing I just want to mention about that real quick, because it's such a major issue here locally, is that we in LA actually did a lot of ballot measures, right, to put forward a lot of money to help the homeless. That's great, that's wonderful, we voted that in. But unfortunately, not a lot of that has actually gotten to the help for homeless. And so, why is that? Well, part of the problem is the money gets diverted because the donors have so much control. And they tell the politicians, hey, you know what? I want the money diverted to this and not to that, and you owe me, right? So the donors, the politicians owe money to the donors or owe favors to the donors. Also, when you get endorsements from other politicians, you owe them favors. That's a lot of favors to get through before they get to you guys, right? And so my whole point is get rid of all that, okay? Just here to serve you. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm lucky. So that'll lead to who I am, right? I do a show called The Young Turks. It's national, and it is quite popular, but it's popular not because I'm a good cook or a good dancer. Okay, I assure you I am neither. It's because I fight for Democrats and I fight for progressives. Okay, and so that's what's gotten me the national following. And so because of that, I wound up having over 33,000 donations right now, average of about 26 bucks. So we've got just as much money as anyone else in the race, but it's all clean. It's all real people, okay? And a ton of people from this district, and we also have 2,200 volunteers, also a ton of people in this district. So we're people powered. So Young Turks is progressive, we call it Homo Progressives, but I've also started two other things that I want you guys to know about. Hi, good to see you. One is Wolfpack, and the whole point of Wolfpack is to get money out of politics, and it's to get a constitutional amendment to do that. And that's been around for 9 years now, and we already passed in 5 states. So there's a lot more room to grow, but my God, they've got 45,000 volunteers across the country, all working their ass off to get money out of politics and get us that amendment. Because if we don't do that, we can't get our democracy back. So I'm super proud of Wolfpack and the great work that they do. I also started Just Democrats. I'm one of the co-founders of that. Just Democrats wound up getting some people into Congress. You might recognize Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley. We helped all 4 of them get elected. We also have Ro Khanna, Camilla Jayapal, and Raul Grijalva. So 7 of the strongest Democrats you'll ever find. And I'm enormously proud that I was part of the founding of that group. And the Young Turks, our audience, raised them $2.5 million so that they could get elected, okay? And so if you want strong Democrats in Congress, I'm your guy. So that's what I fight for. And so in this district, there's a ton of need for that. We've got everything from the environmental disasters. So we've got in Simi Valley, Boeing leaks radioactive materials into the water. Steve Knight, the Republican, takes money from Boeing, doesn't do anything about it. Aliso Canyon gas leak, worst gas leak in American history. Steve Knight took $16,000 from Sempra, the parent company, didn't do anything about it. Actually, it's not quite right, he did. He jumped out to the defense of Sempra, the company, because he'd taken $16,000 from them. That's how corruption works. And so that's why we gotta get that money out. And so in the Antelope Valley, we have got to get higher paying jobs here. Because 1, you need the jobs, 2, we need good wages on it, 3, it also helps with traffic, so that we're not constantly going down Route 14, coming up Route 14, getting jammed up there, right? So how do we get more jobs? Number 1, we need a 4-year college here, and we've got to fight for that. It might be a long-term project, but I'm good at getting things done. Okay, so I've got a whole track record of doing that. I'm going to give you a sense of Young Turks. We now have about 250 million views a month. We have 12 billion lifetime views, 18 million subscribers, and I started that in my living room in a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, so we make things happen. Okay, so we created Young Turks out of nothing and created this giant progressive voice to help all of us. Created Just Democrats out of nothing, Wolfpack, etc. So we also could use a veterans hospital here. Okay, a VA hospital would be amazing. There's some clinics, but a lot of folks, again, got to get into the traffic and go all the way down to LA to get to a hospital. But most importantly, solar and wind energy. Antelope Valley is perfect for it. It creates higher paying jobs and helps fix the climate crisis. So it's a win-win. And then I can go on and on about all the other issues, including Medicare for all, because we've got to get everybody universal health care, and that's the only thing that gets you universal health care. So, but I wanted to do a quick summary for you guys. I don't know if that was quick, but that's who I am. But the main reason for the town hall is I want to meet new folks that I haven't met before. So I'm so thrilled that you guys are out here, and I just want to take questions and by the way, also comments, etc. Hey, look, this is what I care about in the district, and if I win, you're my boss. That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. It's in the job title. I'm your representative. So I'm your rep, so you tell me what you need. I try to get it for you, That's old school democracy. We kind of forgot it, but we got to get back to it. So, anybody have a thought, question, comment?
Well, what my biggest concern is, the homelessness.
Mhm.
And like you mentioned, most of it is because of rent control. About 4 or 5 years ago, Lancaster was in the top 10 nationwide for increases in percentages of rent. Okay, you go from $800 for a 1-bedroom, and then it goes up to $1,200. But people do not get those type of increases, okay, within a year's period of time and 2 years period of time to be able to afford it. And there's too many people out there who are working, who are just lost a job, that are now homeless. Once you become homeless, then it leads into the other areas, the mental health issues, the drug issues, because you lose hope. So what can we do, what can we implement to help with the rent control, lower rates, okay, to help eliminate homelessness?
So it's a great question, and it's on everybody's mind, so thank you for asking that. So first of all, you're absolutely right that once you get into that spiral, it becomes a vicious spiral.
Yes, it does.
Because when you don't have shelter anymore, well, it's much harder to get a job or to maintain your job. A lot of folks don't think about it, but I've gone and worked with the homeless over the last couple of months here, including going out to the encampment in Lancaster, seeing how they live. First of all, I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's literally freezing out there, sleeping on the stone cold desert floor just with a tent. It's the hardest thing in the world. I mean, I can't understand folks who don't have empathy for it, right? But if you haven't talked to those folks, it's sometimes people miss one of the top issues. It's hard to take a shower, okay? And if you can't take a shower, it's near impossible to get a job,
Yes.
right? So there's these elementary things that we need to get to folks to get them help. So there's two aspects of it. One is we, like I said, Measure H and so many other things actually appropriated a lot of money. That's good, that's great, right? And our taxes went up to pay for that. But I love that we had empathy in LA and California to do that, and we did, okay? Now the question is, where is it,
Yes.
right? Every single person I run into, especially in Antelope Valley, is like, where is it? Where's the money? And so what I'm worried about is, and this is why I keep talking about the corporate donors. So they donate to the politicians, and then guess what? Who's gonna build the homes? Real estate companies, construction companies, and they donated not just to Republicans, but now since Democrats control California, they donate to Democrats. And they go, okay, well, who are they gonna pick? They're gonna pick the people who donated, right? So, and then, but they can't get anything past me because I run a business for 18 years. If I win, the US Congressman has a lot of power. If I say to the mayor, or if I say to anyone else in California, I wanna see the budget. There is no to that. No, you're gonna give me the budget, I'm gonna look at it, you're not gonna get anything past me, I wanna see who the vendors are, did they donate to you, what's their profit margin, where's the money going? Because it's gotta go to the homeless, because that's what people voted for. People are also complaining about the gas tax. Now that's a little bit of a mixed bag. Now it's painful to pay the gas tax, and a lot of people are talking about that. But maybe we could live with that pain if we knew it was going to the right place. So for example, and maybe some of it, I'm sure that some of it is, right? But probably not enough of it. So for example, just things that help you with democracy and feel better. So if they really are using the gas tax for roads and parks and stuff that they're supposed to use it for, they should put a sign up that says, this beautiful park brought to you by the gas tax. Thank you to the people of California. Wouldn't that make you feel better? That'd make me feel better. At least I know I got something out of it. Or this road fixed by the gas tax, right? So you get simple things like that to help folks. But then a lot of the money probably doesn't go to the right place for the same reason. The lobbyists come in and they get their claws in it, and the next thing you know. But if you have an honest politician, look, so we helped get AOC and others elected, that I was telling you about, just Democrats. All of a sudden, they go and they say, well, now I'm a US Congresswoman. So when I ask you a question, you're gonna have to answer it. Now they have those hearings, they ask the toughest questions in the world, and oops, all of a sudden, they're caught, right? What did the AOC caught Trump on? Michael Cohen was testifying and said, oh, we used to say our taxes, our value of all of our holdings in Trump Holdings was low for the tax reasons, but high to get a loan, right? And AOC came in and said, wait a minute, isn't that illegal? So are you saying you did tax fraud? And he's like, yeah, okay. And are you saying you did loan fraud when you inflated prices? Yeah, that's what happens when you have an honest politician. Let me see the budget, let's work on it. But one more thing. So,
what happened? Nothing happened. He's still president.
I know. So I'll get to Trump in a second. Okay. But there's a good answer to that too. But just to finish up on this. So they voted on a bill called rent caps in California Assembly. And it's actually a compromise, not rent control, it's rent caps. Okay, I actually agree with that compromise, okay? Christy, who's the other major Democrat in this race, voted against it. You're gonna be shocked to find out who her donors are. Real estate, right? So now, again, if she's got a good argument against rent caps, maybe she does, I'd love to debate her on it. She won't debate, she won't talk to the media, she won't tell us why she voted on anything. So the only thing we have to go on is the list of her donors, right? So
then why does she stand by the Democratic Party as the one that we're gonna vote for?
well, okay, I got bad news for you there. It's because a lot of Democratic leadership is also corrupt. And I don't mean corrupt like Trump. I don't mean like they're like, hey, give me a duffel bag full of money and I'm gonna take it home. No, it's just the systemic corruption. That's why we gotta get the money out. So Pelosi, for example, brags, I already saved $728 million for the Democratic Party. Okay, but where did you get it from? You got it from oil companies, you got it from drug companies, you got it from insurance companies, you got it from all these different companies. Now, does anybody think that ExxonMobil gives you money for charity? No, they do it to influence you, they do it to buy you, right? And the first time they do it, it's a risk, it's a little bit of a gamble. Sir, there's a seat here too. But the second time they give you money, that means their accountants did the math and thought they got a return on investment, okay? Because by law, corporations must maximize profit. So when Pelosi and Schumer and McConnell and everybody tells you, oh, no, they're giving out the goodness of their heart, and now we're taking out the goodness of our heart, that's ridiculous. So, also true, Brendan, others, etc. It's just, these are uncomfortable truths, but they are still true. So when she says, hey, I'm endorsed by these folks, number one, yeah, because you're taking money from the same people, okay? And number two, she now owes them. That means this district goes to the very bottom of the totem pole, okay? Your priorities are not going to matter. It's not about Christy, it's not personal. She's just a regular, very standard politician. You fill in the blank. You could be John Smith, it doesn't matter, right? If they take all those endorsements and all that money, they're gonna prioritize those folks and not you guys. You're gonna be the very bottom of the priority list. So be careful, it's not just about this election. When you see endorsements, if it's people like, you know, that you respect and you saw them fight for other people, get results, okay, good, that's one thing. But understand that all those endorsements come with a price. And Pelosi's got to prioritize Adam Schiff first, because he's higher on the totem pole, and other Democrats, etc. And when you say yes to them, you're at the bottom. So that's just reality. So now I want to answer your Trump question too, and then we'll take more questions, okay? So, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Pelosi drives me crazy, okay? So I'm glad she did the impeachment. We pushed her and pushed her and pushed her to do it, and she finally said yes. In the beginning, I don't know if you remember this, and I cover the news every day, it's my job, right? So I get to see all these details that most people don't see, that's why I pull my hair out. So in the beginning, she said, I'm not going to do impeachment unless it's bipartisan and the Republicans agree. On which planet are the Republicans going to agree to impeachment? That's the craziest thing I ever heard. At that point, we already knew the Michael Cohen story that I was telling AOC exposed. We already knew that he had committed a crime. He was already going to prison. And he was co-conspirator number 2. Co-conspirator number 1 in that case was Donald Trump. His co-conspirator is in prison today. What are we waiting for? We didn't even need Ukraine. There's no ands, ifs, or buts.
Yeah, I can't figure
Yeah, his kids, both his kids have said, we get all our money from the Russians. Oh, And one of them said, oh, the Russians give us money because they really like golf. I mean, Jesus, this is a layup to beat this guy. It's a layup. I mean, he's broken every law there is. He goes on national TV and says, maybe working with law enforcement should be illegal. Who says that? Only crooks say that, right? And you're supposed to be the head of law enforcement. And so she dragged her heels, and so did Schumer, and so did all of them. Finally, the Ukraine thing is not only over the top, but it affects their friend Joe Biden. So then they go, oh, okay, now we're going to take action, right? Okay, good, thank God. I can't wait to give them credit when they do good things. I want to give them credit. Because again, it's never personal. It's about how do we get things done? How do we get bills passed? How do we get rid of Trump, etc. Now, again, they make a lot of tactical mistakes. They should have charged them with actual crimes. They just said abuse of office. Now you got Republicans running around the country going, well, I mean, he didn't break any laws because they didn't put in the articles of impeachment that he broke the laws. But he did. He broke the law in the hush money that Michael Cohen's in prison for. He broke the law in Ukraine. If you ask for help from a foreign government, that's illegal. It's illegal. Say it's illegal. It's not that hard. Fight, right? And then especially when you get something in return or you ask for something in return, you don't need to. It's already illegal when you ask for it, even if you don't give anything in return. But if you hold the money in return, that's a second crime, bribery and extortion. So they got a dead to rights on all these different crimes. For God's sake, get in there and fight. So again, one of the concerns. So the honesty that Pelosi had was, and when they first asked her, why aren't you doing impeachment about a year ago? She said, well, you know, I want it to be bipartisan, and Trump is self-impeaching. I don't know what that means. Right? And I don't want to be bothered with him. We're all bothered with him. He's the president, right?
Every day.
Yeah, and then the last thing she said is, and we're raising a lot of money because Trump's in office. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, it's because of the money. Because if you got a boogeyman, it's easier to raise money. Oh, Trump's in office, help us defeat him. So ironically, they don't want to defeat him for the moment being. They want to win the election, okay? But for the moment being, he's helping them raise a ton of money. That's why, guys, we've got to get the money out. If we have public financing of elections, all these issues go away. Then you'll have people that are representing you, and then some folks at the multinational corporations will cry. They'll say, like, they do it about my campaign, they do it about Bernie's campaign. They say, oh, well, are small donors really representative of the American people? As opposed to big donors? As opposed to corporations? Am I more representative of you guys than ExxonMobil is? Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Right? And are my donors who are given $26 more representative? Of course they are, right? So there is a way to get Trump. Last thing on Trump, although if you want to ask more questions about it, I'm happy to kick that guy's ass every day, 24 hours a day. So in terms of fighting against them, so there's the legal arguments that I made on articles of impeachment, etc. But there's also the political ways of attacking him. So everybody focuses on how he's a monster. But unfortunately, for a lot of the voters, that's not the bug, that's the feature, okay? And so we keep reinforcing something that they like. Now, that's really disheartening that they like that he says all these things about women and African Americans and Latinos and Muslims, etc. But they like that. It's not hurting him with the voters on that. What hurts him is undercutting his strength. So his strength is his perceived strength. He has no actual strength, right? But his perceived strength is, well, I'm a businessman, and I'm competent, and I'm successful, and I get things done. Then what do? On the show every day I point out he's got 6 bankruptcies. And he says, oh, bankruptcies are good business. I went to business school, it ain't good business. You know what's better business? Is staying in business. Okay? I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, why do they make fun of him? What a fool. What a fool. You go bankrupt once, it's normal, it's human. Even twice, it happens to people, no problem. You're trying hard. 6 times? And your daddy gave you $413 million and you still went bankrupt 6 times? The guy's a buffoon. He just call him what he is. He's stupid. He's incredibly stupid. I challenged him because we went to the same school, which I'm deeply embarrassed by. But, we went to Wharton Business School, but, you know, I earned my way in. I'm an immigrant with no connections, right? His daddy got him in with probably a doctor's letter about bone spurs or something. So he gets it, and then he hides his grades. So I challenged him. I said, if you have better grades than me, I will give you $1 million. Now, do I have $1 million? No. Okay. No, but that means you'll bankrupt me, and you'll take my house. Okay? Do you have any idea how happy the MAGA guys would be? They hate me, right? Oh, they'd be ecstatic. Oh, it'd be the greatest thing that ever happened. I'm like, it's so easy. Come take my house, bankrupt me, Trump. He won't do it. Why? Because his grades are terrible. Because his daddy got him in, and he's a knucklehead. You know, he hides his high school grades. Okay, he threatened to sue people if they try to find his high school grades, and he even threatened criminal action if you try to find. Who's so embarrassed of their grades that they threaten criminal action if you find out their grades? Dude, we all got it. You got D's and F's. We got it. Like, you don't have to sue anybody. We all know, right? But now, how many times have you heard that? Almost never, right? Because the Democrats don't know how to fight. If you create that issue and you create that conversation about the media can't help themselves. Oh, you call Donald Trump stupid. That's offensive. Oh, great. Let's have a debate about how stupid he is. You see what I'm saying? And when I say that he hides his grades, well, everybody goes, well, that's true. That is true, right? And no smart person with good grades hides their grades. Can you imagine Bill Gates like, oh, no, please, I'm hiding my grades, right? Can you imagine like Einstein saying, no, I'm hiding my grades, right? No, so this is how you win. This is how you win politically. And then even because the MAGA guys were never going to get them. The corporate Democrats, their thesis is, oh, there's a lot of these Republicans that live in the suburbs that voted for Trump and love Trump, but they're going to now come support us. No, they're not. No, they're not. 90% of the Republican Party is staying with Trump, okay? No, we have to win, not the Republicans, the independents. Independents win elections, okay? Independents don't like either party. So when a normal establishment Democrat goes, oh, don't worry, I'm backed by Pelosi, they're like, ugh. Okay, so I'm knocking on doors all across the district: Santa Cruz, Simi Valley, Porter Ranch, Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, Little Rock, Lake LA. Every time I talk to an independent, if I say, look, I'm a Democrat, okay, so I'm not hiding that. I'm very proud of that, okay. But I'll tell you, I don't take money from anybody, any of the donors, etc. And I also am not. I'm against the leadership in both parties. They go, that's it, I'm in. Okay, I'm in because they're not moderates. They just don't like you. They don't trust either of the parties. So if you go and undercut Trump and say he's not bright, he's not successful, he's not any of the things that you heard, and here's a clean Democratic Party who is not taking corporate money and is going to represent you guys, you're going to win every election. It's not that hard. They just can't do it because they do take the money. Look, when we run against Steve Knight, so it's either very, very, very likely the runoff is going to be Steve Knight versus either me or Christy. Okay, so how do you fight against Steve Knight? I told you earlier, right? The guy took money. I'm trying to control my cursing. The guy took money from December and Annalisa Canyon, took Boeing and Simi Valley, and I can give you 100 examples, right? And then you see the guy's corrupt and he's not going to represent you. It's easy. Everybody gets it. And everybody goes, yeah, I saw him defend Semper. I saw it, right? And I saw that he didn't do anything about Boeing. I saw all this, right? Now I understand why, okay? But when you have a regular Democrat in there, they never talk about that. Why? Because then Steve Knight's going to turn around and go, oh yeah, how about your donors? Oops. So you just unilaterally disarmed. That's why they lose. Like Claire McCaskill could have won in Missouri so easy. They say, oh, Missouri's a red state or a purple state. It's hard to win in Missouri. No. On the same day that Claire McCaskill, a senator from Missouri, who was the incumbent at the time, lost, and lost by a lot, her election, there was a ballot measure on this in that election to raise the minimum wage. Now, if the state was really red and really in favor of the Republicans, they would have said, no way I'm raising the minimum wage. We can't hurt our poor businesses. We got to protect our big corporations, right? Hell no. They passed it 62%. Easy, won by like 20 points. In Arkansas, it has 68%, won by nearly 30 points. These are supposed to be red and purple states. Raising the minimum wage is a Democratic issue. It's a Democratic issue. If you run on that, you win. But Claire had a lot of corporate donors who didn't want to raise the minimum wage and who didn't want her to talk about that. So she unilaterally disarmed. In an election she could have easily won, she lost. Same thing with Joe Donnelly, same thing with a couple other guys, and now we don't have the Senate, so now Trump's gonna escape. So this is how politics works. Unfortunately, most people don't get these messages because of the media. The media is a filter. They're also multi-billion-dollar corporations, so they don't like this kind of talk. I had a reporter once say to me, this sounds a little conspiratorial, are you saying that the media companies are trying to maximize profit? I was like, I think if you said they're not trying to maximize profit, that would be fairly conspiratorial. Because by the way, then they should probably be fired by their board, because legally they must maximize profit. And by the way, last thing on this, where do most of the cable companies and TV stations get their money? One, every election cycle they get $6 billion in political spending. So they love money in politics. They don't want to end that, they never talk about that. And secondly, drug companies. If you ever watch cable news, it's drug company ad after drug company ad, right? You think they're gonna tell you how to lower drug prices? They're not gonna tell you that, right? How do you lower drug prices? Medicare for all, you negotiate drug prices. Don't get me started on that, that'll take 20 minutes. But there is a way to get the drug prices lower, but you never see it on TV, and you never see it from the Democrats, because they both take giant amounts of money from drug companies. We gotta change the whole system. And by the way, if I win, the most powerful mic on the planet, other than the president's, is on the floor of the House. When you give speeches on the floor of the House, they must cover. And especially the aggressive speeches I'll give, they're not gonna have any choice, okay? So when I point out these facts, it's gonna drive them nuts. That's what we need, because we need to, it's not to feel good, by the way, but it does feel good, it's not before that. Because you have to move the national conversation. Once you tell people, hey, don't they take drug company money, the Republicans, and unfortunately some of the Democrats, don't you think that the drug companies gave them money to keep the prices high, not low? Everybody goes, oh yeah, that's true. Yep, that's true. So now that puts them in an awkward spot. That embarrasses them. That's why they don't like me. But I'm not trying to be rude. Like they say, oh, when you say it's bribery, that's rude. No, taking the bribes is rude, right? Me pointing it out is trying to fix it so I can help you guys. So that's why I do the things that I do. Okay, other questions? Yes?
I'm from Senior Valley, and the Senate Susanna Field Lab is a big concern of mine.
Yep.
Several people, but actually not enough people know about that. It's been covered. Other people in Senior Valley have no clue for buying land on contaminated areas.
Yeah.
What would you do to increase the accountability of Bowen and the people who are supposed to be handling this cleanup, and the visibility of the issue, so that people know that there's a problem?
I love that question. Remind me your name again?
Sheila Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Sheila.
I
So,
didn't hear it.
yeah, I'll repeat the question. She's asking, the Santa Susana Field Laboratory near Simi Valley, if you guys don't live near there, you might not know about all the details. In fact, the people who live there don't know all the details. Right. And so, it was, there was a nuclear meltdown there in 1959, the worst nuclear meltdown in American history. This district is afflicted. I mean, worst gas leak in American history, worst radioactive meltdown in American history, and that's not all. And nonstop fires.
I was gonna say, I worked at Children's Hospital. They had cluster syndromes. I treated the children from that incident.
And by the way,
Cancer. I've had cancer.
yes, it's not just 1959. So the meltdown happens in 1959. They never clean it up. There's 3 other nuclear accidents, not a meltdown, but significant nuclear accidents. And then they did 30,000 rocket tests there. So that place is like glowing, okay? And so now, in 2007, it's radioactive. It's literally radioactive. In 2007, Boeing says, fine, we'll clean it, okay? Because it's ours and we made all the money from it, fine, we'll clean it up. And they just don't. Okay, so why don't they? Because they're like, oh, what am I gonna pay, $1 billion to clean it up? Well, I'll just pay Steve Knight $20,000. These politicians are so cheap. He's supposed to represent them. Who else cares, right? Is the person in the 26th district, the 53rd district gonna care? No, your rep in the 25th district is supposed to care. You buy them for $20,000, $10,000 per cycle. It's the best thing money can buy as American politicians, right? Then there's still public pressure though, thanks to good folks like you. 2017, Boeing says, okay, fine, I'll clean it up now. Still nothing.
What area of city is it? What area?
It's Simi Valley. It goes, so two things happen that makes it worse. When the fires happen, it burns the brush is radioactive, and then it goes in the air. So it's not just Simi Valley. Simi Valley's hit the worst. It goes to Malibu, that's not in the district, but there are still people, right? And it goes to other parts of this district, and it falls on your houses, it falls on your land. And then worse yet, both of the fires, because of the different science behind it, but mainly when it actually floods, and it does, sometimes you get torrential downpours, it seeps into the water. Then we're really screwed, because it gets into the water supply. And they're even voting on whether we should use the groundwater in Simi Valley. I'm like, are you nuts? No. Simi Valley is the last place on earth you should use the groundwater. And so, look, the lead levels are 17 times higher than is legally allowed. And they've tested different kinds of radioactive material that is actually in the water. So I actually fear saying it to people because it creates the panic, right? And so I'm really worried about it. But like, isn't this what your rep's supposed to do?
Yes.
Right? To grab people by the collar? So they're good, like you go business as usual, they're not gonna do anything. I guarantee you it'll be another 10 years, and another 10 years, and they won't do anything. So what would I do? I go on the floor of the House and I say, if Boeing does not clean it up as they are legally obliged to do, and they have contractually agreed to do, I will look to bankrupt them. Okay, now, what is that gonna create? That's gonna create a firestorm, right? And I'll get a lot of blowback. It'll cost me politically, because they'll say, wait a minute, Boeing's in the district, and they jobs, and yada, and what are you doing? I say, look, the reason I say that is because I know corporations, okay? I went to Wharton Business School, I ran my own business, and I know a ton of folks who work at those top corporations. They only care about math. What is the price of the cleanup? What is the price of our stock? And if I do enough damage to their stock, that costs them more money than the cleanup. They go, okay, that's it, we'll do the cleanup.
That's right, you need the visibility.
That's right, you need the visibility, because if you don't create public pressure, you can't win. You're never gonna win in the silence, you're never gonna win in the quiet. That's how they win, right? And if they threaten jobs, first of all, Boeing doesn't have a lot of jobs here, it's actually the other companies that do, okay? But if they do, I say, you take one job out of this district, and there'll be hell to pay, okay? But you need a strong rep to do that. You need somebody who's gonna say, not on our watch. And you know what else I do? I invite you and everybody else in Simi Valley to the House of Representatives. If you can, we come in. You know that people are allowed into the House. You never see people in the House, right? Because no representative invites them in. Like, oh, I wouldn't want the real people here. But the lobbyists are swarming all over that House. But it isn't their house, it's your house. So we go together, and when I give that speech, all the media is gonna say, oh, that's outrageous, our poor Boeing. Our beloved Boeing, how could you do this to them, right? And then I show folks who have cancer. They go, no, it's not what I'm doing to Boeing, it's what Boeing's doing to my constituents, and I fight for my constituents. And you're not gonna hurt them while I'm their rep.
If the EPA is not involved, at what point does the negligence become criminal?
So this gets back to Trump. So the EPA is involved, but the government because Boeing owns about 2/3 of it, NASA owns about 1/3 of it, okay? And so NASA's supposed to clean it up, and the Energy Department's supposed to clean it up. Rick Perry comes into the Energy Department, Trump comes in charge, they go, we're not gonna clean it up. So you impeach Trump, get him the hell out, beat him in the elections, put public pressure on Boeing, okay, and you could actually get change.
Our reservoir there is so contaminated, they have to cut the water from other areas so that they can go into the pipes. I won't let my children drink water out of the tap.
I know, it's so scary, yeah. And you know, a lot of people don't know it. I knock on doors in Simi Valley, I knock on hundreds of doors. People know about Santa Susana Field Network. Not almost everybody, but a lot of folks know about that, right? But do they know how bad the water is? No, they don't, okay? And look, lead's a slightly different issue, but you also have a lead problem there. And lead does brain damage. it does brain damage. God, this government doesn't serve the people at all anymore. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but Reuters did a great story on this. So sometimes you get frustrated at the media, the way that they frame things, and sometimes the media does a great job, right? So especially the print journalists, they do investigations and they find out things. Reuters did a great investigation. Unfortunately, what they found out was there's 300 communities in the country that have higher lead levels than Flint, Michigan. I look at that, I'm stunned that we aren't doing anything about it. And then, how are you gonna pay for that? Are you kidding me? First of all, there's lead in the water that's going to our kids causing brain damage. I'll pay anything to get rid of that. I mean, how are we gonna pay for the brain damage that the lead causes all across the country? That's the real thing, and by the way, it's true. When we had lead paint and we had lead coming out of the exhaust in the cars, there was a massive spike in crime. That's why in the 1970s and 80s, you had big spikes in crime in New York and all across the country. The reason that the crime went down is because we got the lead out. So that's an amazing story that Mother Jones wrote about. But these are the things that people don't talk about. To me, but then when they turn around and they go, hey, tax cuts for the rich. It was $2 trillion. All of a sudden, nobody asked, how are you gonna pay for that? We got lead in our water all across the country, including Simi Valley. They won't pay for it. But when it comes to tax cuts for the rich, $2 trillion they give away. You know what? That tax cut, 83% of it went to the top 1%. It went it's almost literally a crime. Yeah. So we're gonna fight together, okay? PJ, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I did have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I've heard you speak a few times now about applying public political pressure, and I very much agree that I think that it is probably the most successful tactic that will be available. Are there any other actions that you can take or any information that will be available to you as a congressman that is not available to you as a regular citizen that will help you in that effort, or?
Yeah, no, so that's a great question. So guys, there's actually a little bit of a toxic culture in DC, but I'm gonna use it to my advantage. So what is that culture? Congressmen and senators are deities, they're gods in Washington. You guys, I'm sure don't know this because it's uncomfortable, they never talk about it, but staffers are not allowed to shake congressmen's hands.
What?
I literally don't get why not. Because it's part of the culture. The staffers and regular citizens are nothing, but the congressmen and senators are gods, okay? And once, you guys remember Gopher from the Love Boat? Yeah, he became a congressman, right? And once the staffer made a joke in an elevator saying, hey, you wanna go to the Lido deck? Okay, fired on the spot, okay? Because you're not allowed to joke with congressmen, you're not allowed to shake their hands, etc. Now, that's toxic, I can't stand it. If somebody doesn't shake the hands of my staffer, there's gonna be hell to pay, okay? And I'm gonna go and tell the media, and I'm gonna embarrass that. Who do you think you are? You think you're better than us, right? On the other hand, the advantage it gives, if you've got an honest congressman is, well, okay, now I have that power, right? I wanna see all the budgets, I wanna see all the numbers, and I can call anyone I want into a congressional hearing with the cameras rolling and ask them questions. Imagine those Boeing executives. Okay, did you make an internal calculation about how much the cleanup would cost? Did you make an internal calculation about how much avoiding the cleanup costs? Did you balance those numbers? Is there any emails? And you better not be lying because you're under oath. And by the way, I can depose you and I can do a congressional subpoena and I can find those emails. So answer carefully. Imagine that, right? And then you go get their emails, and I guarantee you they did that calculation. I absolutely, positively guarantee it. With congressional subpoenas, you can get almost anything. Imagine if someone actually cared about the people and had that kind of power. So that's what we can do here. That's what I'm telling you, the 25th district. This is gonna be the people's seat. If I win, there is no pressure they can put on me. And even good progressives, they get a lot of pressure from the leadership. Oh, no, you don't want to upset leadership. You don't want to upset your fellow Democrats. These Democrats, they're in vulnerable districts and they got to run and get money from big corporations. To this day, I've never met a real voter who said, if a Democrat would only take more money from a corporation, I'd support that. That voter does not exist, it's a myth, we're gonna break that myth. And if, by the way, guys, if I win, I open the gate behind me, not just to you guys to come to Congress, she'll drive them crazy. Man, I will love it, the people will love it, they'll hate it, it'll be great, okay? But also to open the door behind me for other strong Democrats. Because if you do you know who raised the most amount of money now in Congress last quarter? AOC, not Pelosi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, not one dime of lobbyist money, not one dime of corporate money. She raises it all from the people, okay? Why? Because she serves them. Now, if I have even half that money that she raised, I'm gonna give it to other progressives, other Democrats that are uncorrupted. Come on in, the waters are warm. Okay, that's how we take our government back. We take it back from the donors, right? And we give it back to you. And it drives them crazy, but it's a democracy. That's what's you're supposed to be in charge in a democracy. Yes.
We're here because of climate change, and as a congressman, what would you do to help stop what the Republicans, they don't even believe in it. We need to protect our earth above everything.
100%.
And if we don't protect it, all the other issues
They're
don't
moved,
even
right?
count. So what will you do?
So first of all, you're right. There is no planet B. So, and you know the problem is human greed. Because the Koch brothers, you already have $84 billion. What do you need 85 for? I've done the math on it, right? It is physically impossible to spend $1 billion in your lifetime, let alone 84 billion. You know, Bloomberg, he has 57 billion. He's spending $120 million every 2 to 3 weeks on political ads now that he's running for president. But you know how much he makes on interest? Just if it's 5% interest, and usually it's way more than that. But if it's 5% interest, he makes $237 million a month on interest alone.
Yeah, but he's better than any Republican.
No, he's way better, especially on the
What will
environment.
you do for climate change?
Yeah, so my point is that their greed drives them, and then they donate to politicians, and they bought up the entire Republican Party. They're totally corrupt. So now, how are we gonna fight back? Number one, public pressure. So here's a speech I would give. Some in the Republican Party, in fact, almost the entire Republican Party, argue there is no climate change. Okay, well 99% of the world's scientists think that there is, and they think that it's man-made. So if you think 99% of the world's scientists got together from India and China and Brazil and Russia, their beloved Russia, and Canada, etc., and all changed the thermometer readings all across the world, and all agreed in a worldwide conspiracy to lie to the whole planet, you're a lunatic. And I demand that the media call you what you are, which is lunatics. Because that is the biggest, dumbest conspiracy theory, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. But that is the most outrageous one, and I'm going to go on TV and say, I need you to ask the Republican, does he really believe 99% of the world's scientists are in a global conspiracy to doctor the temperature readings, etc.? You would have to be nuts to think that. No one actually thinks that. They're corrupt. Look at the money they took from ExxonMobil, the Koch brothers, which are mainly in the oil business, actually, people don't know that, etc., etc. And here's all their donations. These are bribes, they're bribes. And if a Democrat takes money, unfortunately a lot of them do, from those same companies, sorry, I'm going to embarrass you. Because you're voting with them, and you're killing our planet. So you think I'm rude for saying you're taking bribes. You're rude for taking those bribes and destroying the planet. Look, again, this is uncomfortable. But Nancy Pelosi, what did she say about the Green New Deal? She called it...
want to do what are you going to say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's just finish the thought. She called it Green Dream or whatever. So, I'm in favor of the Green New Deal, okay? So, what does it do? It rebuilds the entire energy infrastructure of the country. It creates millions of jobs, but what it does is it gets us off of fossil fuels. If we could just pass it, it's super aggressive. It gets us off of fossil fuels in 10 years, okay? but you gotta pass it. We're wasting time. We gotta go. We gotta pass it now because it takes minimum 10 years. And people say that's unrealistic. It might take 20 years or 15 years. Either way, we gotta get started right now, right? And the Democrats won't even allow a vote. The Republicans are all gonna vote no. It feels hopeless. That's why I talk about public pressure, because what I'm gonna do is clear. We gotta get Green New Deal. You build the entire energy infrastructure based on solar, wind, and renewable energy. And not only do you fix the climate crisis, but you also actually create more jobs and higher paying jobs. And then the third thing is, then you go to the international gatherings like the Paris Treaty, etc., and you say to China and India and Brazil, we did our job, we cleaned it up. Now the world of pressure, literally, you unite the world. We're always trying to unite people to start wars, right? No, we need to unite people to actually save the planet instead of destroying it. So then you say, hey, look, we did it. China sometimes does progress, it depends, especially if they're on board. Then you could create tremendous pressure on India and all the other countries and Russia to get on board to fix this. Look, here's an analogy I use. If 99% of the world's scientists say a meteor is going to hit the Earth in 10 years and we're all going to die, could you imagine if then the Republicans turn around and go, oh, it's a hoax? Let's not worry about it because I'm getting money from the meteor industry, right? But that is what's going to happen. That is, I mean, it's whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, it's now, first of all. I mean, especially in this district, it's now. Non-stop fires. Non-stop fires because the Earth is too dry and the temperatures are too hot, right? And then Houston, record flood, so I think it was 48 inches. If that was snow, it'd be 480 inches of snow. Climate change isn't something that's going to happen later, it's happening right now. We must pass those bills, and mainly the Green New Deal. If somebody says, oh no, Cenk, saving the planet is too extreme, okay, I would argue not saving the planet is too extreme, right? Okay, then come up with a proposal, an amendment, something that says, okay, Cenk, we can do that, but we can't do this portion of it. Let's do 3/4 of it, or I got a different idea on how to fix it. Great, that's what we're supposed to do as a legislature. But right now, Democratic leadership says, nope, we're not even gonna vote on it. Even if we win, we're not gonna vote on it. Then what the hell are we gonna do? So I love your question, and you should ask me what my plans are, you should ask me how I'm gonna get them done. But by the way, you and the entire national media should be asking Pelosi and Schumer and McConnell and Trump and all those guys the same question.
Well, the problem is, how can you ask that when you're having all this turmoil in Washington and nobody will listen to you?
No, they actually get along fine. I know it looks like turmoil, but no, they yell at each other. This kabuki theater, okay? But whenever they need Democratic votes for tax cuts, they get them. They didn't need it for Trump's tax cuts, but you forget, Bush's tax cuts, they did need Democratic votes. And guess what they got? Democratic votes. Feinstein voted yes on Bush's tax cuts, which by the way were larger than Trump's tax cuts. Okay, they needed votes for the Iraq war. They got Biden, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, they got Feinstein, they got the votes they needed.
By the way, I think stopping wars would help global climate change.
Yes, definitely. But can we, look, so here's another thing. Look, I know I'm getting really deep into the weeds of politics, but it's really, really important because you have to know how to actually fix things and how to get things done. So, the Democrats just passed a resolution in the House saying Trump needs authorization to go to war. Great, I'm super happy about it, credit where credit is due. Okay, but honestly, it's a bit of a trick. Why? Because that amendment was originally in the defense authorization bill. And if you put it in the defense bill, it's gotta pass, because everybody's money is in the defense bill. It must pass. Okay, so if you, Ro Khanna, great progressive leader, Barbara Lee, great progressive leader, they put in 2 authorizations where Trump would have to come back. Barbara Lee, take away the original Iraq authorization. Ro Khanna saying if you're going to go have any military action in Iran, you must affirmatively seek authorization from Congress, as the Constitution says. Democratic leadership took it out of the bill so that the money could go to where, to their donors, etc. And so later, when they pass the one saying Trump needs authorization, it has no teeth, because the Senate doesn't have to vote on it. If it was attached to the money, the Senate would have to vote on it, and Trump would have to vote on it, not veto it. Otherwise, they wouldn't get the money. That's the political games they play. But I cover politics for a living. They're not gonna get any of that past me. And even even the great progressives we have in there, and Roe fought like hell for it, and Bernie fought like hell for it, give them credit, right? But, and Barbara Lee was fantastic, right? But they're afraid to go on TV and say, Pelosi did it, Hoyer did it, Schumer did it. It's true, it's truth. And they don't wanna say it because they're gonna get punished. They can't punish me, I don't give a damn about them. I didn't get any of their endorsements, nor do I want their endorsements. I didn't get any of their money, nor do I want their money. They have no leverage on me. They're gonna say, Cenk, be quiet, don't tell people what we're really doing. Sad day for you. Sad day, I'm gonna tell them, okay? That's how you change things. You create public pressure, you call out people, you embarrass them. And by the way, if you get enough public pressure, next time, she loses the speakership. But most likely she won't. What'll happen instead is she'll go, oh yeah, I meant Green New Deal. I always meant Green New Deal. Medicare for all. I got a poster in my basement. I'm gonna bring it out. We're gonna do Medicare for all. Why, look, I have perfect proof, impeachment. She said, no way. I need the Republicans to pre-approve it. Then we put a world of pressure on her, and all of a sudden we have impeachment. Public pressure works. That's why we gotta do it, yes.
I have a question about the stock market as it relates to Trump. You know, what are your thoughts on people that say, well, we look the other way at some of Trump's politics, and there's more issues because their 401k is doing good, because the stock market is doing good, and their portfolio is doing good. Is there any truth to that in your opinion? That, you know, people are like, hey, you know, let them be, leave them alone, and also deregulate. We deregulated so much stuff that people are just turned away.
So it depends on what you mean by people, okay?
Okay.
Because there is some truth to that, but it mainly applies to the top 10%. I forget the exact stat, but I think it's along the lines of the top 10% have 80% of the money in the stock market. Okay, so when the stock market is going well, but almost everyone in the media is top 10%. Almost everyone in politics is top 10%. Top 1% is high, right? Top 10%, you know, is a number where if you have a job in Washington, almost everyone in Washington, not the real folks, but the people in politics and media are in the top 10%. So when the market is going well, they go, oh, that's it, Trump's great. I don't know what you guys are talking about, it's fine, it's fine. Non-stop articles about how great the economy is. Now, what they don't tell you is, wages have not gone up in 45 years. So if you account for inflation, and I've shown the charts on the show a million times, productivity from about 100 years ago to now is a chart that goes like this, a line that goes straight up, diagonal, okay? It's wonderful. Why? Not only are we really productive as Americans, we work our ass off, but now everybody's working the home. The husband, the wife, everybody's working, so productivity continues to skyrocket, okay? And the great news was during the New Deal, during FDR, when we had real Democrats, okay, that represented the people, wages went up at the same rate. That's great news, that's democracy, right? 1978, it's a long story why it's 78, I can tell you another time. 1978, basically the summary of that is Supreme Court says corporations can give money to politicians, and we're screwed. Then wages flatline. And the difference between productivity and wages, in that chart, $12 trillion. It costs the average American family, this is a stunning number, I had to triple check it. It costs the average American family $17,000 a year. If you had gotten the wages you deserve for your productivity, every single family would have $17,000 a year more. Every year, okay? Instead, they redistributed the wealth to the top. So, but the people at the top are the ones on TV, et cetera, telling you, oh, the economy's going great, the economy's going, no. Wages under Trump, last I checked, they had gone down 1.3% when it counted for inflation. So all those tax cuts that, oh, don't worry, we'll give it to the corporations, it'll trickle down on you. Yeah, well, something's trickling down on us, but it ain't wages, right? And so, now, again, no one on TV talks about wages. So the wages is terrible for us. Housing is through the roof, and not just in LA, but in all the major cities. Not all across the country, but in the major cities, housing prices are way up, and LA is near the worst in how high the prices have gone up, but our wages haven't moved at all. So how the hell are we gonna go close that? I checked out my apartment that I started the Young Turks from. It's a 1-bedroom off of Sunset, okay, back in the day in West Hollywood, okay? Back then I got it for it was $1,050, okay? I checked the other day because my nephew was getting a new apartment. I couldn't believe how expensive it was. I was like, no, that can't be right. And so I said, let me check my old apartment and see what it is now. So I left that apartment around 05, so it's been 14, 15 years. Okay, so that's a long time. So we're gonna go up to 1,500, that'd be a huge jump. It's a 50% jump, right? It was at $2,450.
Oh my God.
Now, if your wages haven't gone up in that same exact period of time, how the hell are you gonna pay for it? It's impossible. So is the economy doing well? For 90% of us, no, disastrously, right? But you're getting constant propaganda. Hey, no. Don't believe your lying eyes, don't believe your paycheck, everything's going great. And by the way, they genuinely believe it, because things are going great for them and everyone they know, right? So, no, the economy is, and by the way, not only that, the stock is, so the tax cuts went mainly to corporations. Corporations are the main donors. Then the corporations did stock buybacks. What that is when they buy their own stock so that they artificially inflate the price of the stock. Why do they do that? Because the executives have stock options. So they're gonna cash out and make tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. But once you've done that, what did I just say? And every economist knows this. They artificially inflated the prices of the stocks. What is that gonna lead to? It's a guarantee it's gonna lead to a crash. It's just simple economics. There's no ands or or buts. And I got folks, I have friends who work on Wall Street. We're getting to the point where it's the same mania that I remember hearing in 2008 before the crash. No, the way the market works now is that it's kind of like a new market, it can't crash. Oh boy, that means tick, 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 tick. It'll probably crash before the election. Okay, so we'll see. But if it does, the folks who have been deceived into believing there's a good economy, and the folks who actually did benefit from it, then they will turn in their rage. And Trump will go from 45 to 25, mark my words, if the crash happens in that time period. Yes?
I think there's an importance on issues, and then I think there's an importance on winning.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to understand how the winning is going to take place, because I think right now we have this population in the country, and then we have this population that votes.
Yep.
Okay, so much smaller. And then you have part of that population who votes, 80% is going to vote the way they're going to vote regardless.
Yep.
So we're looking at this like 7% of the entire country's population having an influence on the outcome.
Yeah. So that's why Catherine's here. So Catherine was my campaign manager. She worked on Beto's Senate race, where they broke every record there was on organizing and voter turnout. And so what they got was they got people who hadn't voted but who were registered to vote. They got independents to vote. They got unlikely voters to vote. Okay, that's why I hired Catherine. Also, the fun fact that I love to embarrass her with every time. She was at one point ranked #1 in the world in jiu-jitsu.
Woo!
How's that? Okay. So don't mess with Catherine. So we're doing that in this district, and we need to do it nationwide. So you can actually reach independents, but you have to tell them you're independent from both parties. You can't say, oh no, trust me, Pelosi and Schumer are great. That's not gonna work. Unlikely voters, you can reach them, but you have to show them something you're gonna do for them in their real lives. And you have to believe in people. So why? So look, how do you win elections? So this is important because I'm in the middle of one. And I've studied this for decades. Doesn't mean we're gonna win. I'm not like haughty, and I'm not, one of these guys who are blowhards, etc. I might be in other respects, but not in this respect, right? But you have to have a good message. You have to have the right message. And people often think, oh, that's it. Who has the better message? No. Who has the right message that also reaches the voters? Because if you don't reach the voters, they never hear about your good message, right? Our message is awesome. I mean, look at what we've been talking about here. If everybody in this district was in this room right now, we'd win in a landslide. Landslide, easy. And the other side, I am happy to debate them. The Republicans, Christy, doesn't matter. I say anytime, anywhere, let's debate, because they have no chance. I mean, this is not a conversation that a regular politician can have. right? They just wanna avoid the topics, they wanna give you vague answers, they wanna get out of it really quickly, etc. Because they're not gonna fix anything, they don't actually have solutions. We can win, so how do we reach voters? Yeah, money matters, right? So that's why I tell the folks at home, cenk2020.com/go, okay? Every dollar is a voter. And so it's a voter that you reach with your message. If you had a bad message, it'd be dollar wasted, right? But if you have a good message like ours, it flips people. But most importantly, organizing. So how many events have we had so far?
Roughly like 70 probably.
Guys, we've had 70 canvases, phone banks, where you call your fellow citizens and go, hey, I got good news for you. Okay? And by the way, or you knock on their doors. When I knock on doors, I do it all myself as well. Okay? I join the canvases that people are doing. A lot of people don't know. They don't know. It's okay. They got their regular lives to lead, right? You know, you got a job, you got a family, etc. They don't know all the details of the policies. You got to let them know.
Yes.
Right? So if you reach the voters through organizing, and if you can raise enough money, then you win. Look, we got to take over the Democratic Party. If we take over the Democratic Party, they have a vat of money. I mean, they have more money and more access to organizing than you could dream of. But the problem is they don't use it. They power down. No, you got to get your volunteers out everywhere. And not only do you have to just say generically vote for Democrats, you have to tell them why. But in order to do that, you got to believe it. You got to be driven. You got to be saying, I got to save the planet. On Medicare for All, it's the only thing that gives you universal health care. Public option, you still have to pay co-pays, premiums, and deductibles. So you know what happens under the BAT, the encourage system? 45,000 people a year die because they don't have insurance. So guys, we're all on a rescue mission here. We got to rescue our fellow citizens. We got to rescue the planet. If you have that kind of fire, then you're motivated to reach those voters you do, and we win.
Let me follow up with that, because I think the progressives, you don't have to convince of the message. You might have to convince that you're the guy to deliver the message. I
Yeah.
respect that. But talking about the independents, so when you're talking about, are these issues important to independents?
Yeah. So how do you tell that? You could do extensive polling, or you could go door to door and get enough anecdotal evidence to know. It's, in this district, super clear. Number one issue, you know, whether it's your number one issue or not, it is the number one issue in this district, and it's super obvious. Homelessness. Everybody's talking about homelessness. They're talking about it in Lancaster and Palmdale, they're talking about it in Santa Clarita, they're talking about it everywhere. And so then you have to have answers. That's why we started with the topic of homelessness, right? It was the first question you asked, right? And you're right, that's the first question everybody's asking. So then you have to address that, right? Again, my Democratic opponent has unilaterally disarmed. She voted against affordable housing. So what is she gonna do? She's gotta give you platitudes. She can't go with a fire in her belly to fix it, right? So, and then the other second issue, national issue that people are talking about is healthcare. Because everybody's worried they're gonna go bankrupt, even if they have insurance. Oh my God, if they don't have insurance, it's life and death, right? So, and even if you have insurance and you don't get sick, so you're not gonna get bankrupt, the prices go up every year. It happened to us at our company. My premiums, I run the company. There's nothing you can do. The insurance companies have you, you know, in an unwinnable situation. You know how much mine went up this year? 18%. How are you gonna afford 18% increase every year? It's crazy. So you know how much each of us pay? On average, family of four pays $12,000 a year in healthcare. For the co-pays, premiums, deductibles, what your employer takes out of your checks, okay? $12,000. Not how are we gonna afford the new system, it's how can we afford this system that's broken and expensive and the most expensive in the world by a lot. But in terms of the other issues, we might care about climate change. I care deeply about it, but we gotta educate folks on it more. So when I say higher paying jobs, people go, yes. Climate change, right? They, you know, if you get to it, they care, but they don't normally bring it up. And I say Green New Deal, a lot of people haven't heard of Green New Deal. I'm, you know, neck deep in politics. I know Green New Deal, I gotta fight for Green New Deal. But a lot of people haven't heard of it, okay? And good folks on our side haven't heard of it. So you gotta be smart, you gotta figure out what the right way to address these issues are. You fight for everybody, you fight on every issue, but you prioritize for the elections. Does that make sense?
Yes. if I were gonna go out and speak for you to other people to vote for you, can you tell me what is your feeling on healthcare? Because that's a big deal to a lot of people, like you said.
Yeah.
What is it you
Yeah, so,
I don't listen to the Young Turks, so I don't.
yeah, that's why we're doing this.
I probably will in the future.
Yeah.
But, so I'm just getting to know you,
yeah,
and I need to know what you think about before I can go out and talk.
100%,
on
yeah.
your behalf.
So that's why we're doing this, and that's why I love that all of you came today. Wonderful to see this. So, universal health care.
That's what
Okay.
I-
Now, a lot of Democrats pay lip service to it. They say healthcare is a right. Okay, good, but you gotta have to follow it up with policy. Okay, that's a slogan, that's great, I agree 100%. Okay, what's your policy? They'll say, well, public option, which is Christy's position. Well, public option is not universal healthcare, and that means healthcare is not a right. No, we need universal. The only thing that's universal is single payer, Medicare for all, okay? If you don't, you gotta tell people, and look, you don't wanna argue with your fellow citizens that the door is not efficient, but in your real life, when you're talking to family and friends, right? Tell them, it's not, the only thing that's universal is Medicare for all. Otherwise, we're not covering everyone. I mean, look, here's an easy way to explain to people that everybody understands. In this country, we used to have, believe it or not, we used to have a private insurance system like we do for healthcare, but for the fire departments. So if you didn't pay your fire insurance, if your house was on fire, they let it burn down. That's real, okay? And so we obviously changed that because fire spreads, right? It was a really, really bad idea not to put out fires. So, but now we have the same kind of cancer, it's private health insurance. And if you don't have insurance, we let you die. I have a friend who is a Democrat who ran in Kansas and almost won. He's a just Democrat, a wonderful guy, James Thompson. He just found out, he's got a couple of kids, he's got stage 4 cancer. Okay, it's in his intestines. Now, the good news is, it's slow moving. Second good news is that he's got a doctor in Denver that can do surgery. It's clearly the most effective, and by the way, even cheaper than what he could do in Kansas. So good news, that's it, we're problem solved, right? I mean, hopefully he's gonna have a chance. No, they say that's out of network. But the doctor in Kansas that's in network doesn't do the surgery. He gives you radiation and chemotherapy. It's less effective, it actually even costs more. Doesn't matter, bureaucracy, death panel. No, you're not gonna get the surgery. We let people die. That's barbaric. And my point is, to your friends, family, anyone you talk to, if we had private fire insurance, would we let 45,000 people a year burn to death? We wouldn't, right? I mean, nobody's that monstrous, I hope not, right? But right now, we let 45,000 people a year die because they don't have health insurance.
Yeah.
That's equally barbaric. And by the way, the amount of people who go bankrupt every year is 500,000 people a year go bankrupt because of medical things.
We just had a friend die, she was a Republican, we went over to the husband's house, and some other Republican friends came over, and they're worried about insurance. And I said to the Republicans, wouldn't it be nice if we had universal health care like Medicare for all? And they all looked at us, I said, we have Medicare, my husband and I, and we both had catastrophic problems, out of pocket $210.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
wouldn't it be nice for you guys?
Saved my dad's life.
Who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah, so,
That's their.
yeah, and that's because this is what drives me crazy about the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the corporate media. They all repeat that stupid mantra, it's total propaganda. The reality is, single payer in other countries, which is all other developed countries, costs half of what this system costs. Half. The question is, how are we gonna pay for this system, right? And how much money are we going to save with the new system? But they lie. I'm sorry, look, the media is sometimes so discouraging. You know, 77% of Americans now don't trust the media.
Fix it.
Yeah, I'm trying, brothers. I'm trying. And it's personally cost me because I get under their skin, because I say, you know that's not true. We have the facts. You know the new system costs less. And then they go, this guy's rude. Okay? This guy's rude, don't let him on CNN, don't let him on MSNBC. I'm banned from MSNBC. I am, I'm literally banned from MSNBC.
Wow.
Okay? Because they don't want the truth. They don't want the truth. I don't know any outlet more hostile to progressive point of view than MSNBC. They love, like, corporate Democrats. Schumer says something, MSNBC's running, right? But if you say Medicare for all, they're like, no.
I wondered why you weren't there.
Yeah, I used to be on here, yes. I had the 6 o'clock, that's a whole nother long story. But it's the same idea, this whole thing. People in power don't want you in power. They want themselves in power. Did you have another question?
No, just.
I'm talking
No,
too
no,
much,
that's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
You know, we talk about Medicare for all. If you don't have insurance, a hospital has to see you in an emergency. They have to do what they have to do. We're still paying for it. People don't realize.
Yes, that's
The fact
right.
that for 42 years, I paid into Medicare, okay, that I haven't been able to use, for 42 years, okay? Now, in a couple of years, I'm gonna be eligible for Medicare, okay? And my life expectancy, maybe I'll get 12 years, 15 years out of it, okay? But I would have rather continue to pay into Medicare and pay what I paid in private insurance, okay? And have Medicare for all for the last 42 years.
100%.
That would
Yeah.
be nice.
So, look, I'll tell you, look, this isn't my race, but but you need to know it. Biden has said on many occasions that he would cut Social Security and Medicare, okay? Not completely, but he would make cuts on it. And he used the same word the Republicans use, it's an entitlement. Okay, now do you know why we're entitled to it? Because we paid into it. We paid into it our whole lives. You're goddamn right we're entitled to it, right? And so they use it like it's a dirty word, right? No, you paid 42 years into that. Of course you deserve it. And so, and if you paid into it that whole time, you'd have Medicare the whole time. So you know why it's like, so now Buttigieg says Medicare for all for those who want it.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's like saying fire insurance for all who want it. Yeah, we all want it. Yeah, we don't want the house to burn down. We don't want to die if we get, sick, right? So the reason that he does that awkward, weird phrase is because Medicare is so popular. So he wants to put the word Medicare into his plan. Because Medicare has a 77% popularity. Why? Because it works. We don't let you die. Once you get to 65, we don't let you die. Okay, I mean, folks, at some point we're going to, but if you're sick, we treat you, right? But for people under 65, we throw you to the wolves. So don't believe all that stuff. You guys are 100% right. You got that instinct? You're right. You're right. We can do Medicare for all. Medicare for all, a lot of people think is the hardest one. I don't think so. I actually think we're going to win on that first. Because everybody, I mean, you talk about it in the doors, everybody's worried about healthcare. They've had it with the prices going up, they've had it with the stress. And yeah, again, if you get caught, you get sick, before, you can go to the emergency room. Last thing on this, and I won't take your question. You're absolutely right about the price. The same thing with homelessness. They say, oh, we build the homes, it costs too much. No, but if they don't have shelter, they're gonna get sick more often because they're out in the freezing cold or the scorching heat, especially in Lancaster, right, especially in Antelope Valley. And then where do they go? The emergency room. And it costs so much more. Or in Santa Clara, they round them up. And to be fair, they do it in a lot of places. And that's terrible. They round them up and put them in prison. Well, what does that do? More cost. If instead of paying the prison, instead of paying the emergency room, you just build houses. By the way, it works. Like, it's amazing the things that are real that nobody tells you. In Utah, they had this revolutionary idea for the homeless: build homes. In a decade, they decreased homelessness by 91%.
What a surprise, right?
What a surprise. And by the way, it costs less. Why? Save money on emergency rooms and prisons. Yeah, and all the other treatments that you had to do.
Yeah, switching gears a little bit. I agree with, everything you're saying, and those are all truths. My question though, is that you're saying that you're not gonna, as a politician, you're not gonna take money from the big corporate donors, right?
Yes.
And that sounds great. However, I mean, it costs a fortune to have commercials on TV. The things that you are saying now, gosh, I think everybody in this room.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
I have another point.
Yeah, of course, thank you. Spread the word, please. Okay. Catherine, can we get everybody's info? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, well, it just, it costs so much money. how would you be able to do it, to spread that word that you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it strikes a chord with me. I'm just recently, within, I think, the last half year, I started watching Young Turks on YouTube. And I think it's great, and it's one of the reasons why I came. You know, I've kind of been lately getting more and more turned off to the Democratic Party because, you know, I just see a lot of corruption. So, I mean, what you're saying really strikes a chord with me. However, to get that word out, you have to pay a lot of money to be on TV, to be on different commercials. How would you do it if you're not gonna take any corporate money?
Yeah, so yes and no, let me explain. Great question. So first of all, when Trump won that night in 2016, a lot of people got sad, I got mad. And I wasn't just mad at Trump, I was mad at the Democratic Party for losing him. I mean, how do you lose that guy? I mean, total incompetent buffoon. So I said, let's take over the Democratic Party. And now, we know we're gonna be at a money disadvantage for the reasons that you're saying. So, but I said, if we raise enough money for enough candidates, they won't have to, this is important for you guys to know. You don't have to outraise your Democratic opponent or your Republican opponent. You just have to hit the minimum. If you hit the minimum, you got enough money to get your message out, okay? Now, they might swamp you up with ads, but after a while, they lose effectiveness, okay? So, so we raised $2.5 million through the Young Turks for the Just Democratic candidates. Not all of them won by a long shot. We know how hard it is. But we got 4 in that are lions, the best fighters in Congress. AOC was outspent 20-1, and she won anyway. Why?
That's encouraging.
It is. It's super encouraging. Because she organized. She went and had volunteers go up and down the high rises of Queens and Bronx. Up and down the high rises. Spread the good word. Somebody's gonna come help you. There's hope, okay? And I need you to do the same. There's hope, okay? We together are going to help people, okay? We're on a rescue mission. So that's number one. You actually can do it with less money, so you don't get discouraged. Number two, once she won, like I told you earlier, she now raises more than anyone else, even though she's taking small dollar donors. In the presidential campaign, who raised the most amount of money? Not the guys taking the corporate money, Bernie does. And for a long time, when Elizabeth Warren was almost as progressive as Bernie, she was raising the second most amount of money. Why? Because small donors then believe, they have hope. And there's more of us than there are of them. So they get it. Christy, my opponent, before this race, in the assembly, you can take direct money from corporations. Her average donation was $2,700. The average, that's how unbelievable, the average, okay? My average is $26 right now, okay? But guess what, we have the same amount of money, because I have a lot more donors. Okay, she has a few donors that give her a lot of money, I have a lot of donors that give me a little money. And now we're back. God help her, okay? So that's how you get the money to win, and that's the amount of money you need to win. And once you win, you get even more. That's why I say, if I win, especially as loud as I am, probably I'll raise a lot more money to help other progressives get to the minimum. If I raise 5, 10, 20 other progressives to the minimum, then they got a shot to win, then we're in the ballgame. And then the other thing that you need, and also why I'm doing this, is what I said at the very beginning. The mic on the floor of the House is one of the biggest mics in the world. So once you get free media, you don't need as much money. So a perfect example of that is Hillary Clinton outraised Donald Trump in 2016 2-1. So everybody said, oh, she's got more money. Actually not true. Donald Trump had more than twice as much, about 2.5 times as much as Hillary Clinton in free media. So all the empty podium coverage that CNN gave him, every show that he was on Fox News, MSNBC, all those guys. So he wound up having over $1 billion more in media coverage than Hillary Clinton did. That's part of why he won. Trump, 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 Trump. Everywhere he went was Trump. So if you grab the mic, you get free media, and then especially with our message, oh my God, they're screwed. So they're gonna run ads saying, ExxonMobil has your best interest in mind. Okay, I'm gonna say on national television and in all the outlets, ExxonMobil gives politicians money to bribe them. Everybody in the country is gonna go, he's right, they're wrong. Look, if we grab that mic, they're in a world of trouble. That's why they don't do it. Like in this race, what are a lot of the press? They don't like progressives. They're part of the establishment. So they come in, they go, okay, they yell at you, and then when you try to respond, like my friends who are here over the weekend, they ask me, hey, Cenk, why don't you tell the New York Times or LA Times this? I said, what are you kidding? I did tell them. They just didn't print it. Right? They take the mic away from you. But if you win, they're screwed. They can't take the mic. Okay, I think a couple of more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Yes?
Alright, so I just wanted to inquire as to, obviously, of course, Christy Smith is one of the Democratic endorsement.
Yeah.
In practicality, at least, for Nancy Pelosi, and is the.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
And is the favorite for the nomination.
No, that I don't agree with, but keep going.
I imagine you obviously would.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how you plan to contest her in terms of going to the seat.
Yeah, so great question, but it's two different parts. So she did get the endorsement, and she brags about it. She says, I was handpicked. Okay, first of all, were any of you in the room where she was handpicked? Oh, you didn't participate in that? Okay, where do you guys do the handpicking? In the voting booth, right? That's the way it's supposed to work? By the way, she says, I'm handpicked and all the Democrats back me, etc., the Democratic leadership. My real question is, who's in that room? Right? So if some power players that we don't know picked you, who were they? By the way, were there any people of color in that room? I don't know, right? Was that room representative overall, whether it's gender or people of color or anything? I don't know. I'm not making accusations. I'm just asking, who the hell was in the room, right? And so I'm not at all bothered by her endorsements. I actually think you guys should be bothered by her endorsements. I think they're an albatross around her neck. Dianne Feinstein endorsed her. Dianne Feinstein voted for Bush's tax cuts, for Bush's war. But Dianne Feinstein was in favor of the death penalty even after we got rid of it in California. Dianne Feinstein, because of progressive pressure in the last election, finally switched to being in favor of legalizing marijuana, but she was against legalizing marijuana, put all those thousands upon hundreds of thousands, millions of people into jail that shouldn't have been in jail. So I would want Dianne Feinstein's endorsement if my life depended on it, okay? So I don't think those, but do they help her with some voters? Sure, because if you don't have all the information and you get a little pamphlet and it says, oh my God, these names that I know, Pelosi, Feinstein, say I should vote for her, yeah, that's gonna help her. Does that make her the favorite? By the way, it's gonna help her with some voters, especially Democrats, but it's gonna hurt her with independents. If she sends those flyers, they're gonna be like, oh, Pelosi, okay. Whereas I say I'm independent, right? And that helps bring in more voters to the party, more voters, right? And in terms of favorite or not favorite, what's your message and how do you reach voters, right? So her message is steady as we go, we don't need any change, everything's great. I mean, if you think that, okay, right? But I don't think most people think that. So the second thing is, you said, how are we gonna reach voters? Well, normally whoever is backed by the party has more money. That's why it matters, right? So right now we're tied on money, oops, okay? Because I got all those folks giving me money from all across the district, all across California, and all across the country. So she doesn't have the money advantage she thought she has. Now, I think the Democratic Party is going to come in because I talk about corruption within the Democratic Party. They'll probably spend an extra $1 million or $2 million against me. That's real. But have I hit the minimum? Right, look, we need more. Cenk2020.com/go. Okay, every dollar is a voter. Okay, but we have way more than a normal progressive candidate would. So we're on good grounds there. And in terms of organizing, it's not a contest. I have thousands of volunteers. I never see anybody on the streets for her, right? It's not to say that she doesn't have good folks in Santa Clarita who are part of the system and they mean well, and there'll be 10, 20, or however many of them that go out closer to the election. But we're going out nonstop, every weekend, canvas, phone bang, reach the voters, reach the voters. So when you combine my volunteers with the amount of the money I've raised and the message I have, I think there's an excellent case to make that I'm the favorite, not her. And plus, the other thing is, I do nonstop. I talk to you guys nonstop. I talk to media nonstop. I'm trying to get a message out. Look, in a worst case scenario, even if I win, I want more people to hear this message. So, because it's going to help down the road. build up and build up and build up. She's hiding in a wine cave. How is she getting, she barely does any media, she does almost no town halls at all, right? Won't talk to the public, and refuses debate. So first of all, I don't even know what people are voting on. Does anybody know what they're voting on? And she has incredibly vague positions. She has given no details on anything. Like, for example, I want to end private prisons. If you incentivize people to imprison your fellow Americans, they'll imprison your fellow Americans, and they'll do it for profit, right? What is her position on private prisons? No one knows. She's never said it, not gonna say it. No one's asked her. That's it. You don't know what you're voting on, right? What's she gonna do with Seaton Valley about the water? I don't know. Right? And I'd love to get her in a debate and ask her, what's your theory of change? I'm sure I hope she's bothered by it, but has she done anything about it? What is she gonna do about it, right? You need to know those answers. So if she's saying, no, I'm scared, I don't wanna tell people my policy positions, one, that's telling. And two, it's not a good way to win the race. You win the race by engaging the voters. She thinks she already has a won. I don't want to get into too much details, but she has an enormous sense of entitlement. I've already been picked. It's already over. It's not how democracy works.
Will you come to see? Most candidates don't.
Oh, I've been there already. I've done 4 events or so, but will I do another one? Yes, I'll probably do 2, 3 more. And then if I win, open office hours. So, you want to see a U.S. congressperson right now? You better have a good check with you, okay? You better bring your checkbook, and it better be significant. With me, I don't want your check, right? I mean, I'll take $26. But I'm not going to take the lobbyist money. So do you know that when you go into Congress, the first briefing they give you, Democratic Party, the Republican Party does the same, probably does it more. They say every day you have to make 4 to 5 hours of phone calls to corporations, lobbyists, and wealthy people to raise money. So I just cleared up 4 to 5 hours of my day for you guys. Can you imagine, right? So when's the last time Feinstein ever took a meeting with a citizen? Are you kidding me? Oh, the other day, the Green New Deal activist came into her office. She said, that's never gonna happen. She's yelling at a kid. When we ran a candidate against her, California is too big, she had too much name recognition, too much money. So we didn't win. I'm always honest, like, yeah, there's challenges. We bit off too much there in that race, right? But, God, you look at her, and we were trying to find out how many volunteers she has, so we went to her website.
Hey, welcome. There's a seat right here.
And she literally did not have a tab for volunteers. She didn't want volunteers, she didn't need volunteers, she already had the corporations give her money. So, we're gonna reverse it. We're gonna reverse it. People are gonna be in charge. Okay? All right, anything else, guys?
Just maybe a suggestion. You've got this tremendous backlog of information on your shows that anyone on the internet can look up. And I just suggest that when all the you print up a sheet that has all your best shows on each subject, like climate change, whatever. And when you think, to save time with volunteers, you just go to each show and you just hand them this.
Yeah.
And then they can look up your shows and
so
it's such a time saving.
I love the way you're thinking, brother. The problem is, speaking of time, we have about 6 weeks or less before the election. We're not gonna have enough time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what though, if we win the primary, then we have more time. And then
yeah, but you need so much name recognition. I didn't know where you were. I was trying to get a hold of you. I'm from San Diego. And I went to UCLA. I figured, they would know. The political science department, Ralph Bunch Hall, not one person knew who you were.
No, don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I'll say I wouldn't have recognized just based on the name. It was your face, and I knew who you were.
Yeah, same here.
The name's not at all.
I know. That's a problem. It's a real issue for us because my name's hard. Okay, first of all, it seems like if you're not used to it, it seems like a jumble of letters, right? And then it's not pronounced Cenk, it's pronounced Cenk, and you got to explain that to people. So it's a challenge for us. And plus, if you watch the Young Turks like some of you do, right? Folks, they know the show, they don't know my name. Because it's already a hard name, and I almost never say it on air.
I was looking for Anna, personally.
I know, right? You missed her by a week. She was here last week. We'll do it again.
I didn't want to.
Yeah. See, at least people know Anna's name because it's easy, Anna, right? So we gotta get my name out, that's why I need you guys, if you can volunteer, if you could, it would be amazing, it makes all the difference. And furthermore, so even fans of mine don't know, they'll say, hey, you're that Young Turks guy, right? Or they'll say, you're that guy from the internet, okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm that guy from the internet. But in terms of real people though, folks know the show, right? They know, I knock on doors, I don't know, 20% of doors or so, folks know me, right? And they know the show, they'll recognize my face and go, oh, they'll recognize my voice. The guy had his disabled guy, wonderful guy, but he's in the corner, can't see me. Okay, his wife opened the door. I start talking, he's like, is that Cenk from the Young Turks? Okay, he recognized my voice, right? But he watches so much he even knew my name. But we gotta get my name out. But the worst is people in power, okay? So the LA Times reporter tells me, I checked around here and none of my friends know you. In other words, the powerful, we've decided we don't know you and we don't want to know you. So we're going to smear you, we're going to attack you, we're going to do all these things. Now, look, I always fight back, and I had an editorial board meeting with them, and it was different people, much more open-minded. So my point to you guys is there's hope, there's a way to win these things, there's a way to win people over, and we do it one step at a time. Okay, do we have challenges? Yes, the name's a challenge. Yes, the powerful don't like it, they want to either ignore you, right? Or they want to fight you. But that's okay. The only way we're going to get back into power is the powerful aren't going to just give it to you. They're not going to be like, oh, yeah, why don't you take my power, right? No, they're going to fight back. In fact, if you see a Democrat that the powerful is not fighting back against, that means they're not doing their job, right? That means they're not upsetting anyone. They're not upsetting anyone in power. And everybody's going along hunky-dory. You're not going to get any change, right? So we'll get past those hurdles. We got to do it together though, because they, as AOC once said, they've got money, we've got people.
I was just gonna say, we worked for Brian Caforio when he was running.
Yeah.
And there's a group of people who worked with him, you've probably already done that. Can you contact those? Can you contact Brian to get those names?
Yes. So I've talked to Brian, I'll talk to him about that in particular. That's a good idea. So thank you, that's already helpful.
I email him back and forth. He's not running because his wife just had a baby. But
No, I know,
just
yeah.
emailed him. I will email him again and ask him if he would help his.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
All right. Any last questions, guys?
Thank you for coming out. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, one last one. Go ahead.
Okay, if I may just pose one more.
Yeah, sure.
So,
of
so
course.
far you've been talking quite a bit about economics and
Yep.
Addressing various economic issues like corporate donations and whatnot, which can be great platforms. How would you approach independents and people who for whom social and sort of racial liberation type issues are more important, especially the idea that perhaps a lot of people may actually be inherently reactionary in their approaches to these things?
Yeah. So, I'll tell you this, I'm not gonna change my opinion to win any votes, okay? So, that's the if you consider that a downside, that's the downside of a principled person, okay? So, if you say, hey, listen, I'll vote for you, but hey, I don't believe in Black Lives Matter or something, well, sad day, we don't agree, okay? Then you'll find someone else to vote for. We don't need your vote, we have plenty of votes in this district among Democrats and independents that are good folks, plenty, enough to win. And you get into a slippery slope of trying to appease people, it's a terrible way to go, okay? So, they'll never get me to change on protecting every one of those communities, right? Immigrants. I've had people tell me, oh, I don't want those illegals in here. Okay, I want to build a wall. By the way, a guy who was for Medicare for all. Okay? So, you get these strange combinations. I said, look, I don't agree. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 8. Now, I was documented, but we were lucky. My uncle happened to be here. What if we weren't lucky, right? And then I talked to the guy, and it turns out his grandparents came as immigrants. And I said, remember the people that they turned away? That's from your ethnic group. And he said, yeah, that's true, right? Try to have a little bit of empathy. Look, you try to win them over as much as you can. Election's a tight window, so you gotta be efficient, right? And if you just don't agree, then you don't agree. So you say, hey, I don't mind unarmed black men getting shot, you're not gonna vote for me. That's okay. We'll vote for someone else because I'm not your guy, okay? So, and we, again, we don't need those votes. The Democrats sometimes foolishly think, are you gonna flip a MAGA guy? Who's for the Muslim ban and against the illegals and, you know, Blue Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, right? And by the way, there's a lot of Democrats, especially in this district, who, because there's a lot of police officers in this district, start to head that direction, right? So with some of that language and some of those votes, etc. So, no, don't do that. And if you do that, you lose your moral core and you also lose your voting core. So, be who you are, be strong, be proud about it, and find your voters. That's the answer. And by the way, when you win, again, you got the mic, then you can begin to convince people. So the stat I always put out on the show, which I could put out on the floor of the House is, like, people think white privilege, they misunderstand it. They think every white person is rich. No. If you're in a holler in West Virginia, you ain't rich and you don't have much privilege. It doesn't mean that. It means you'd be surprised at how bad the other guys got. Okay, so for example, African Americans smoke weed. Say consume marijuana at the same rate as white people. Okay, same rate. They get arrested at 4 times. So if you're a poor guy downtrodden in the middle of West Virginia or the Antelope Valley or Santa Clarita or anywhere, right? And you think, I don't have any privilege at all. What you don't know is, you're not getting constantly pulled over like some other folks that are in your situation. You're not getting constantly harassed by the police. You're not getting, you smoke weed? Yeah, you smoke weed and you know it, right? Okay, but you're not getting arrested for it. The other guy got arrested and had his life ruined. Came much harder to get a job, et cetera, et cetera. So you educate people about that, and then they go, oh. And I've had hundreds of people come up to me, including at the last town hall we did, saying, I used to be a Republican, I used to be conservative, and you flipped me. I said, how? They said, facts, you just give me facts. That's true, I don't get arrested, and I didn't know I wasn't getting arrested, right? How would you know you're not getting arrested and that's a privilege that you have, right? But when you tell people, they go, oh, okay, yeah, that's true, I get it. And that's how you win people over in the long run. Okay, all right, super last question.
You're talking about just the facts. And about 3 years ago, I was reading an article about climate change. You know, it was posted in San Diego, and I read it. I actually read the same article in the LA Times. You know, they both of them, but in company. I read the New York Times. I was just in the library hanging out. I read the New York Times from 2 weeks ago. So, and I think you accidentally put a fact in there. You didn't mean to, because what you said about the LA Times. But that was we burn fossil fuels at the equivalent of 400,000 atomic bombs a year. That's the amount of energy released. And if I ask that people all that question, no one ever even comes close.
Yeah.
That's how much energy.
Yeah.
And just what you need is the facts. That's all you need.
We're gonna get the facts out. All right, guys, thank you. And just one last thing in terms of if you have a sign up.
For those of you who RSVP'd online, we've got your information, but if you haven't, come see me and I'll put it in.
Yeah, and we would love for folks to volunteer in the district if you can. Even if you made one phone call or knock on one door.
I didn't even know he was running.